Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead. Um, just following up again on last night's episode. I thought it was really great. I hope that everybody else enjoyed it. Walking Dead broke the ratings record. It had 17.3 million viewers, and I'm just happy to see that. Knowing that The Walking Dead's popularity is still growing, people are still becoming interested in it, is a very good sign for the series and for its future, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm hoping that everybody else enjoyed last night's episode as much as I did. But tonight, what I wanted to do was do a video to follow up on Morgan, because last night, as you know, it was the reintroduction of Morgan into the series after the credits and the promo for next week. Morgan basically is walking down the railroad tracks and he sees the no sanctuary sign that Rick made up. And then he walks a little bit into the woods and he sees X's on trees. And I just wanted to give my thoughts on that. I think that there's some significance behind that. And I just want to give my thoughts on that. So I'm just going to go down the theories that I have. But remember, if you remember where we left off with Morgan was in the episode Clear, and ever since the pilot and that episode, Morgan had been living with his son Dwayne in Rick's hometown, and basically had said that he was going to come down. They were trying to communicate via the radio, and Rick was never able to hear from him. And Rick goes back there and finds that Morgan is still in the town, but he's pretty much lost his mind a little bit because of the loss of Dwayne. It turns out that the walker, basically, Morgan's wife was a walker, and he tried to kill her in the pilot, but he wasn't able to do it. And later on, it turns out that it was the mother as a walker that bit Dwayne. And I think that Morgan definitely harbors a lot of guilt from that, and I think as a result he becomes, I guess, what you could call a cleaner. Or a clearer, or whatever you want to look at it as. But he basically clears the town. He kills walkers. He sets up traps around the town to capture the walkers, and basically just loses it. And then after he runs into Rick, he starts to, find himself again a little bit. He's still not right. Who would be after everything that happened? But Rick offers to let Morgan come back to the prison, and Morgan says no. He just feels like this is what he needs to do. But clearly, Morgan has found a higher purpose other than staying in the town, and he's on the move. And I was wondering about that, but I was definitely happy to see Morgan. I think that because the reason why we all like Morgan is just, he's almost a character, like, I think we see him and Rick as coming from the cut from the same cloth, a father who was trying to protect his son, and you liked the camaraderie there between the two men, that this was the first man that Rick ran into after the zombie apocalypse started. And I think that another thing is we don't like to see too many stones, staying, you don't want to unturn the stone. You get what I'm saying. You don't want to just forget about these things. Like, sometimes I wish that they would bring back Morales from season 1, even though he wasn't necessarily the most prominent character. Sometimes you want to know, did his family make it? Are they staying in Alabama? What's going on? I've always wanted to know that. Just because you don't want to leave any storylines open, you kind of want to, know those kind of answers. At least that's how I look at it. And I think that we see that in Morgan as well. But clearly Morgan is on the move, and he comes upon the no sanctuary sign that Rick made up. Rick dusted off the other words and put no sanctuary, and Morgan notices that. And then, of course, Morgan looks in the woods. I think he goes walking in the woods a little bit, and he sees X's. Now, of course, what we don't necessarily know is, were those X's right next to the sign, or were they, did he walk a little more and then find them? Because that's just it. The scene between there and the woods, we don't necessarily know if that was exactly the same spot. I'm assuming it is. I'm assuming that it was relatively in the near area, but it may not have been. and I was looking at a couple of thoughts in that. One, I don't think that those marks were made by the Terminus people. I don't think that they would mark X's on the trees, to take people away from Terminus. I mean, well, they really, they had a nice system going, and I think the railroad tracks were decent enough for you to be able to find Terminus. I don't think that they would just go, oh, we're just going to mark this little path off over here, and then if they decide they want to, no, I think that people who are going to Terminus would follow the railroad tracks and the signs. You wouldn't need to follow them through the woods. At least that's what I think. I think that those marks are also fresh. I mean, they looked like they had been just carved. It wasn't like because if you make a mark on a tree and you come back months later, the environment might change it. But the marks looked very fresh on the trees. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that if it's near the sign, that maybe Rick drew them. And something that I was thinking about, after this, I was like, well, is there a possibility that Rick and Morgan may have been in contact in season 4 at some point in between the episodes? Because we went from what, you think about it, 412, 413, 414, and most of 415 without seeing Rick, Michonne, or Carl. So Lord only knows what they were up to. And I thought, and it's a long shot, but nonetheless it may be valid, maybe they ran into Morgan on the road. That maybe Morgan did leave and they just happened to run in. Like, I don't think that they went out of their way to see him, because it's a decent drive away. But there is a chance that, Morgan may have decided that, he was done doing what he was doing and he was going to the prison, and maybe he came upon the prison after the destruction that happened to her, or he may have seen it for all we know. He may have seen the destruction of the prison, and maybe he was staying outside of the prison, camping out, maybe making up his mind as to whether he really wanted to go there or not. And this just may have been a conflict within himself. And, he may have been camping out there and it was just too late to move in because the prison had been overrun by the governor's people. And maybe he was following Rick, or he was following somebody else, and he may have come upon them, and who knows, he may have revealed himself, be like, hey Rick, it's me. Because the only 3 people that Morgan would know would be Rick, Carl, and Michonne. I don't think he would necessarily reveal himself to somebody else, and I don't think there was really too much time for that. I mean, we were focusing on so many of the other characters during this time period, and they all had different missions that I don't think they necessarily ran into, that they couldn't have ran into Morgan. But I think that there is a chance that maybe Rick and Morgan ran into each other after the prison, that maybe Morgan tried to go there and found that it was destroyed, or maybe he saw it being destroyed and followed Rick, and maybe they met up, and maybe Morgan was another insurance policy. Because Rick didn't expect Carol to be the one to, come in and save them. I mean, thank goodness that she did. But maybe Rick was thinking, hey, this place doesn't necessarily, sound like it's going to be really great. So maybe he might have met up with Morgan, might have had Morgan following behind them. And maybe, Morgan was supposed to come by a few days later, guard the scene, and if something was wrong, try to save them. That's a possibility. I'm not going to put it past that there may have been. Because if the marks are right near the sign, then it would make sense, because why else would, Rick leave those signs? I mean, I think that he might just be, saying, hey, I owe this to Morgan to show him. So I think there's definitely a possibility that Rick and Morgan may have met up off the screen in between some of those episodes in season 4, and that's the result, and Rick's just trying to get Morgan to follow them. Another possibility that I was thinking about was that maybe Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene ran into Morgan. That might be a possibility as well. And, I remember in the comics, like, the people in the Alexandria safe zone had like a system where if something was to go wrong, like say that Aaron was captured, then Eric would be his insurance policy. Where if something was to go wrong, Eric was gonna pop out and shoot the people or whatever the case may be. Perhaps Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene ran into Morgan, and there's a possibility that um, Morgan is their insurance policy, that he's going to stick on the outskirts, and if something were to go wrong, then Morgan's the one that would pop up and shoot the people just to protect Eugene. I think that's a little bit farther off, but I'm not going to put it past that idea, because Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene could be running into anybody at any time, and they're going to need somebody to potentially save Eugene, and I think that it is a possibility that Morgan may be that person that would be hidden in the background, and if something were to happen, he would be the ultimate savior if Abraham and Rosita were taken. Again, I mean, if I had to weigh those two options, I would put Rick as the better theory, but again, I'm not going to put it past that maybe Morgan ran into Abraham, Rosita, Eugene, because there's more of a chance that they may have. You have Abraham, Rosita, Eugene moving around all over the place, and I don't know whether, see, the only thing that I wonder is, where is Rick's hometown? Actually, I think it would be in Kentucky, so I guess that wouldn't make too much sense if they ran into him in the town, but who knows, they may have just run into him while he was down in Georgia, but that's another possibility, that Morgan may be Abraham and Rosita's and Eugene's security policy. That's another idea. The third idea is that Morgan has met up with Father Gabriel. I thought that might be another option as well, because we're gonna be seeing Father Gabriel in the next episode with he's in the woods and he's on top of a big rock and there's these walkers attacking him. And I thought that maybe there was a possibility that Morgan ran into Father Gabriel at some point. Because one of the things that you look at is Morgan was a religious man, as far as I know. I mean, Dwayne knew his Bible. He was praying to God during the first episode when he was downstairs and Morgan was upstairs shooting walkers in order to kill the walker Jenny. And I thought, well, there's a chance that, I'm pretty sure that Morgan would probably be religious, probably taught his son, the ways of the Bible and the ways of God. And I thought, well, maybe Morgan may have, went to go seek forgiveness for his sins. He may have, after he left the town, he figured, hey, I'm just wasting my time. I need to go out and be with people. I need a better purpose. Maybe he went to a church. Maybe he ran into Father Gabriel. And maybe there's a chance that the two men are working together in whatever they're doing, because I don't know if Father Gabriel necessarily kills walkers. Sometimes, religious figures, you don't, they don't believe in killing people. Thou shalt not kill. Some people take that very literally to mean that even in the most extreme of circumstances, you don't kill. And it just depends on your background, depends on the way that you interpret that part of the Bible. And that maybe Morgan is, the way for Father Gabriel to be able to go out into the world and collect, supplies, or, I'm assuming that there's also a chance that Father Gabriel was the one that was at the funeral home and was taking care of the corpses. That's another possibility. So, again, the option number 3 is that he did actually run into Father Gabriel and the two men are working together, because that would also make sense, how everybody's going to meet up. That Father Gabriel just has marked various paths in order to get to the church, and maybe just Morgan was in that area and was able to find the path to get back to the church. Again, that's another possibility. But I think there's definitely a bigger purpose for why Morgan's here. They wouldn't just bring him back for no reason. I think that Morgan is definitely involved with something. The question at this point is, what is it? Did he run into Rick, and it's just he's going to run into Rick later on down the road? Is he the security policy for Abraham, Rosita, Eugene? Is he with Father Gabriel? Did he meet up with him? Or is there something else going on? I mean, maybe he's related to Beth's captors, but I doubt that he's related to Terminus. I don't think that he would necessarily. I don't even think he's been there, because if he would have went there, he wouldn't have been in a boxcar. So I don't think that he's related to Terminus. But is he related to something else? Definitely. I don't think it's just a coincidence that Morgan just happens to show up, see the sign, and then see X's. So something's going on here, and what I just said was the theories that I think may be going on. Again, just theories. I don't know, but you do wonder. The thing about The Walking Dead is there's always something bigger going on, and I always like to know what it is. So I'm just throwing out some theories as to what I think's going on. So I'm going to bring this video to a close, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I have plenty of videos coming out now that Season 5's out. Definitely very excited at what's going to happen this season. They definitely led off with a very, very great premiere. Probably one of the best. Probably second best. I'm always probably going to think that Days Gone By is the best premiere. Probably just, the storyline's just a lot better. But I think that this premiere was better than any other premiere other than Days Gone By, in my opinion. So I'm definitely anxious to see what they have in store for us. So thanks, everybody. I really hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.